And Scott Emily lives in Jacksonville Golf and Country Club.
How about that? I just heard the recording in progress. Does that mean the meeting is starting? I can't.
No, the recording has started.
Gotcha. Awesome.
Just letting you know what you say can be remembered, so be careful. Be careful who you talk about.
I hear you, Jerry. How are you doing, Meredith? How's everything going for you?
It's the end of the year and the start of the year. I always forget. I have a short-term memory when it comes to how busy both of those are until it hits, right? So
right.
I'm good. We're just doing, I'm preparing for our annual audit, which is always fun. And also shoring up end of year giving and 1099s and all that.
Oh goodness. And you're on the clock. It's not like you can just get to it when you get to it. You have to finish it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially those 1099s. Those gave me grief last year, so I'm hoping they're easier this year.
Yeah, well, I hope so for your sake as well.
How are you?
I am doing great. It's been a wonderfully busy time. Just helping my mother-in-law just get unpacked and get her house safed up so that like ramps installed and grab bars installed, and so hopefully by the end of next week contractors will be done. The last thing that we're waiting on for her to feel safe is to put some blinds on the windows.
Yeah.
There's massive windows, but no blinds. So she would like to be able to close the blinds at night. But it's all coming together. I'm blessed to be able to have this time to be available to help her out. And I've got an exciting job coming up that I'm just gonna hold off on until it's for real. But then I'll be very excited to share with everybody, and that'll be in February. So, God is good. Everything in His time is perfect.
Wow. Well, I'm excited to hear about it when you're able to tell.
Well, and I am thinking of you from a volunteer standpoint too. If this new position comes through, I'm like, oh, that's a whole nother. We may have a whole nother conversation.
Okay. Oh, a little bait.
Can that count? Can that count as our blessing for the meal?
Can that count as the blessing for the meal? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did you need me to do that, or are they doing that now?
Well, I mean, either way, I just said amen after what you said, so thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'm excited for you.
Thank you, Josh. I appreciate it. I can't. This has been a test of patience, and yet it's just been. This has probably been the healthiest. This has been a great time, a challenging time, but a great time for me. And I am just raring to go with something new. And I've got great stuff going on with the district, with Interact. So it's just Edward Waters, I think, is really going to do some great stuff this year with Tim. They're not kids, they're adults, but I'll just call them kids because they're younger than my kids. But they are just raring to go. It's really cool. If we could, as a club, overcome their limitations, they could just take off. It's just, we could really, I really believe this is the year, and this is the group that's going to put down roots and create something sustainable, which is Tim's biggest goal. So I'm super excited about just even the next 6 months. It's going to be so wicked cool.
Wow, that's exciting. Well, while we're all kind of around relatedly, I've been meaning to get in touch with you to ask if I can join your committee.
Yes, please.
Great.
Yes, please, done.
Okay.
Yes, please, done. If you, if I could just just because I'm in a swirl of moving boxes, and I'm in a bit of a swirl right
Yeah.
now. Which is also why I'm not on camera. But if if I could give you my cell phone number, and if you could just text me your contact, I will reach out to you, because there's already something straight away that I want to talk about in the board meeting after today's meeting first, but you will be one of my first calls afterwards. My cell is 904 614 8409.
Got it. I will text right now.
Careful
Okay.
when you say yes, you want to be on my committee. Like, just careful, because Josh will tell you, like, once I put something in motion, we just keep on going.
I like that. No, I'm friends with Pat Mulvihill, if you know how Pat runs. But
Yes.
my issue is capacity, because
Okay.
I've got all hands on deck with
Mhm.
Steve. But yeah, I like
We
that.
may be
That's why
able to work together on that. I've got some ideas I'd like to bounce off of you, actually. You were one of the first people that I was thinking of after the Rotaract meeting last week. So this is quite providential that you're asking to be on the committee, and you were one of the first people I was thinking of after talking with the college kids last Wednesday. So this
I
is
love
cool.
that.
You and I will talk, I promise.
Okay. Yeah, I'm texting you right now, so you have my contact.
Sweet.
So if I have an odd camera angle right now, that's why.
No worries.
I don't know if we're gonna have sound. It's gonna be a bummer.
What did I miss? What did I miss, Gigi? Do you have news? This is Mary Pat.
Oh, well, I hope to have news. I mean, there is a new position for me in the works, but I don't want to say anything to everybody until it's for real, and I'll know that before the middle of February. So I'm very excited. It's great. It's
Good.
just good timing. It's a great opportunity. There's just a few details that have to be taken care of first, and then it's official. So I'll let y'all know, but I'm very excited. And my mother-in-law lives here now. She moved here from Birmingham, so I'm in the midst of boxes. We're trying to get her settled, and she's staying with us, and we're having some work done on. She's having some work done on her place so that she can move in. So it's been a busy time.
Good stuff. Well,
It is
I'll,
all good stuff.
I'll keep my fingers crossed for you.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm very excited. I'll be sure to share. No worries.
And that's a lot of transition, Gigi. That's all transition, but I'm glad.
It's exhilarating, actually. It's absolutely exhilarating.
Man, you just keep
All of it.
Can't wait to hear.
Yeah, all of it. Like, this is 22 is going to be something. This is going to be good. All right. It looks like, and my mother-in-law also has a little dog. So I may have to mute myself soon. But it looks like they're setting up at the podium. And I know this meeting generally is one that runs long, and they like to start a little earlier. It was really awesome. Hey, Randy, nice to see your face.
Now I'm unmuted. Good to see y'all. A busy day at the office.
Yeah, I was going to say, how are you doing? Are you seeing, or how are the kids? Are a lot of kids coming in?
A lot of COVID. Hopefully we're peaking and getting ready to get out of this, but it's a lot in the office, and it's usually parents giving it to the kids. The good news, they've all been mild. So
yeah,
keep our fingers crossed.
My granddaughter gave it to my daughter, but over Christmas. And for my granddaughter, it was mild. For my daughter, it took her longer to recover. But you guys, of all the things I never thought I would say, is I am grateful that my granddaughter had COVID, because it revealed she has a heart condition. COVID didn't cause it. It was always there. But the virus, I don't know the right medical terms to use. I'll say flare, or caused a I don't know how to describe it, but you would know what it is. It's POTS, POTS. It's part of the autonomic.
Postural orthostatic tachycardia, little heart, where the heart beats
Exactly.
real fast when they stand up real quickly.
Stand up or
Yeah.
sit down or lay down. It explains so many things that have been going on with her. It explains for years. It explains so many things. So actually some wonderful positive changes are for her.
Well,
And she's 11 and she's just taking responsibility and embracing what she needs to do to take care of her heart. And I'm just watching it in amazement. It's just, I can't even believe I'm saying this, but it has been a big blessing. Oh, there's the bell. Okay. Going on mute.
Oh.
Welcome to the January 19th meeting of the Rotary Club of West Jacksonville. Zoom attendees, please mute yourself and use the chat feature to communicate with us. Our invocation will be given by Dan Dodd, and then Joe Eberly will lead us in the pledge.
Fellow Rotarians, please pray with me. As we gather here today as Rotarians, we pray that we are ever mindful of the opportunities to serve our community and the world. We reaffirm our commitment to Rotary, the four-way test for all that we do. Is it the truth? Is it fair? Does it build goodwill? And is it beneficial to all? May we all be challenged to give our best always. Amen.
Rotarians, pledge with me to our great nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Joe. Thank the greeters, Rahul, Will, Tom, for greeting today. A very special program, one of our favorite programs of the year. It's the regional oratory contest. Southjax is our host today. So I would like to call to the podium Lisa Marie Winslow from Southjax and turn the meeting over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, President Sherlock. Very, very grateful to be here, and thank you for hosting regionals today. I just want to make sure that all of you understand how wonderful this event is. We've been hosting this now for 5 years, which I can't even believe. And you as a club have been an integral part to the oratory competition. What you're about to hear today is some magnificent oratory from wonderful students across the city of Jacksonville. Like President Sherlock mentioned, my name is Lisa Marie Winslow. I'm with the Southjax Rotary. I'd like to also introduce some of my fellow club Rotarians. Les Loggins is here with us. Les, you are right here in the front. We also have Dinkins Grange, and Dinkins is getting dessert, of course. So we are making sure we keep our priorities in order. Again, thank you for not only hosting, but supplying the lunch, supplying the gifts that we will present to our contestants today. I know our topic isn't an easy one. Hopefully it'll be a rewarding experience for each of our contestants as they present their topic. So everyone understands how the contest works. You should have received a sheet on in your chair that is our grading rubric, and that will be what you use to evaluate each one of the presentations. We are working with schools across the city of Jacksonville. We had 20 schools participate in this, and we're hosting regionals across Rotary clubs in our city as well. And again, we have 3 today. In addition to your club, we are hosting regionals and have completed some of them at Orange Park, St. Augustine, downtown Jacksonville, and the Amelia Island Sunrise Clubs. The regional winners from each one of these events will receive a $500 scholarship and advance to the final competition on February 17th at WJCT Studios. And I'm going to repeat that because I know that all of you want to put that in your calendar for February 17th at WJCT Studios, because all of you, for hosting this regional competition, are graciously not only invited, but also at no charge to your club to attend these regional and the final competition. So we'd love to have you there, have tables with your club's reservation on there. So please consider February 17th at WJCT Studios. The top prize for the winner of the final competition is scholarship and gifts totaling $5,000. The runner-up will receive a scholarship totaling $3,000, and the other finalists received a total of $1,000. The West Jacksonville Regional as a host is invited to attend that. Just let us know. You can contact Dinkins. You can contact, I know Patty can help facilitate that as well, Patty. Just reach out to us and we'll make sure that a spot is reserved for you. For completing the ballots, on the back, you will see a list of our major sponsors for the event. I'd just like to recognize those major sponsors: Visiting Angels, the U.S. Army, Thomas A. Rainey Interiors, Kaiser University, the Peter Bregging Better Baseball Program, R. Dean Scott Architects, Theater Jacksonville, of course, WJCT, and Woody's Barbecue. If you are interested in any of our fellow Rotarians here are interested in sponsoring, please just reach out to us and we would be happy to add you to our list of sponsors on our website as well as at the event itself and the program. So just let us know if you'd like to participate. Okay, so with regards to the ballot, everybody got a nice, crisp, clean ballot, right? You're going to make sure that you list the speaker. It's pretty well spelled out here, even though the boxes are kind of small. So make sure you use small print. You're going to list the speaker and the school at the top of the sheet. Mark each category from 1 through 4, with 4 being the highest score. Again, 1 through 4, with 4 being the highest and 1 being the lowest. You'll need to assign the number to every one of the 7 categories with that student's name listed. And if there's any missing, we'll put a 0 at the end of the event when we're doing the tallying. A 0 will be pulled in any placed in any missing scoring blanks. We'll ask you as the evaluator to total your 7 categories at the bottom of the page. Please don't use minuses or fractions or a score over 4. We want to try and keep this simple for everyone. The most points a speaker can receive is 28. And last, we'll give a minute for you to tally at the end of each speaker's presentation. And then after the last presentation, we'll collect the ballots, tally the votes, and then we will award the winner. Your club has provided some gifts for our speakers as well, so we'll present those with President Sherlock. In case of a tie, I know you're just wondering what happens if we have a tie. Club president will choose 3 club officers to vote their choice from those who receive the tying votes. So club president and 3 officers will then make that evaluation. This year's, any questions on the ballots? Anybody see anything? Okay. The topic for this year's speech is in consideration of Rotary International's 2021-2022 theme, Serve to Change Lives. Select a written document, a book, pamphlet, literature, proclamation, etc., that you believe has made a major impact on society at some point. In history and verbally present your reasons supported by how it has impacted you, along with documented facts, actual results from the written piece, and recorded public opinions. So before we came in today, I asked our contestants to select a number so that we randomly identified in what order they would be going. So I would like to introduce to you our first speaker, Miss Sophia Grace. Sophia, if you'd mind coming up to the Sophia Grace Posick from the Bowles School. Sophia Grace has brought with her support from the Bowles School with Miss Marie. Would like to introduce Miss Marie.
Miss Marie Curvin is an English teacher at the Bowles School for seniors, as well as the leader of our speech and debate team, as well as other important organizations that we have. And she's also a dorm mother for a lot of our resident students. So she's been a huge help to me, and I cannot thank her enough. Thank you. It's 1963 and change is coming. At Yorktown High School in Arlington, Virginia, 4 brave students are at the forefront of that change. As the school bell rings in the start of the new year, 1,800 white students flood into the halls to continue their education. But this time, for the first time, they are joined by 4 African American students. In 2022, the civil rights movement is a core part of our school curriculum, but back in 1963, those 4 children were making history. In 1955, the United States Supreme Court ruled segregation in public schools unconstitutional. In the landmark ruling of Brown versus Board of Education, it served to change lives by ensuring equal access to education regardless of the color of your skin. But the principle of equality in law stems back to the 14th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States in 1868. No state shall deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without the due process of law. This amendment was the promise of a better future for all Americans, but a promise that was not fully fulfilled. And next, in the 1896 Supreme Court case, Plessy versus Ferguson, the courts ruled that separate racial facilities were legal if both were equal. However, the different facilities, particularly educational ones, were not equal. The differences in teachers, resources, and the schools themselves segregated the schools. The impact of Brown versus Board of Education is its impact on what is considered unconstitutional. It is our society taking a step towards fulfilling that promise that all are created equal. But as we can see from the hindsight of history, nothing happened overnight. This was, after all, 59 years after Plessy versus Ferguson and 84 years after the 14th Amendment. And the ruling of Brown versus Board of Education sent a message to all of America. My grandmother grew up in this era of transition and change. She grew up in the shadows of the nation's capital in Arlington, Virginia in the 1950s, and she was 8 years old when the ruling was released. Yet it was only 8 years later, as a junior at Yorktown High School, that she first saw change happen. The voices of those who witnessed history are invaluable towards shaping our understanding of what it was like to live through it. While we can learn from history textbooks and court documents, it is the immediacy and the memories that should never be forgotten. My grandmother grew up in this time of division, and her memories are just as important as the documents that served to change lives. Her lived experience has informed my historical research and brought history alive. The idea of equality for all people should not be revolutionary, but it was. And the late 50s and 60s forced America to reconsider what she thought was true. Like a slow wave, Brown versus Board of Education sparked change from sea to shining sea. But today, it can be difficult to imagine a time with segregated schools. But what we can easily forget is that this was the reality of our country not hundreds of years ago, but in the lifetime of my grandparents' generation. And Brown versus Board of Education was by no means a solo effort. It was the life works of people like Thurgood Marshall, the primary lawyer who spent his career fighting for freedom and equality. He heard the people telling him to simply sit down and accept reality, but he stood up, stood strong, and inspired the country to do the same. Both of my grandmothers were inspired to stand up and challenged stereotypes. My paternal grandmother resisted the expectations of simply going to secretarial school, and despite coming from a poor rural Georgian background, paved her way as a female accountant and opened her own practice here in Jacksonville. My maternal grandmother became an engineer and resisted opposition even when she had to send out over 70 applications to simply get one interview. I would not be here at this podium today or who I am if they hadn't stood up to challenge a world that resisted change. And the Rotary does just that. It inspires others to see the change that needs to happen. Because in order to serve our communities, we need to learn from our past, listen to our elders, and understand our shared history. So I challenge you. I challenge you to go ask your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, if you're lucky enough, what issues they faced. Listen to their stories about desegregation, about action, and learn from them. My grandmother said it best. You can't always go backward with a what if, but you can go forwards. You can't change what was, but you can try to improve and try to learn. Thank you.
Sophia Grace Posick, P-O-S-S-I-C-K, correct? P-O-S-I-C-K. Got all the eyes staring over here. We got finish up over here. We good? All right, we're going to move forward with our second contestant. It is my honor to introduce Samuel Davis from Wolfson High School. Samuel, would you like to come on up?
Thank you for having me, everybody. First off, I just want to introduce my mom, who's here with me today, Jane Courtney Davis. And I'm just lucky to have her here. She really means so much to me, and she encouraged me to do this competition even when I was nervous, and I still am. Trust me, I still am. But she's here, and I'm just grateful for that. So with that, I'll get talking, but hopefully not too long. President Theodore Roosevelt, 26th President of the United States. Basically, he left office in 1909 and embarked on a journey across Northern Africa and Europe in 1910. I guess that makes sense. I mean, he'd been president for the past 8 years. He'd been a war hero, and he also was a supporter of the American conservation movement. So he really deserved a little bit of a break. So on April 23rd of that journey, he stopped in Paris, France. And what he did in Paris would change the face of reality when it came to actively engaging yourself. He delivered a speech to French citizens, military officers, and all sorts of elite high-class members of France. And it would be known as Citizenship in a Republic. And this speech, it was the broad context of it. It went over war, it went over politics, it went over a lot of global issues that he had experienced over the past 8 years in France. But there is one excerpt that many of you know today called The Man in the Arena. And that is what I'd like to talk about today. So what Theodore Roosevelt said was that the most influential people in society are not the critics nor the observers. They are the ones who are out there actively engaging themselves and their society, taking the next step, doing more than what is asked of them. He says these people are the ones who strive valiantly, who err, who come short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. He continues by saying, the best way to be different is to do the things people refuse to do. And he also says, the best way to succeed is to outthink, out-hustle, and outwork everyone else. So the impact of this speech, obviously that's just a piece of it, but the impact of the speech cannot be understated. It spread like wildfire across France. People loved it. Once a French production company got a hold of it, they produced 5,000 copies of the speech and distributed it to the public in 5 days. Just like that, everybody was talking about it. French people were impressed by the poignancy and the purpose of the speech. They were surprised that Roosevelt had the courage to stand up and tell them to do more for not only their community, but also their country. It was a wake-up call because many of them had lived their lives with ease. These were students and ministers and military officers, and it was really great for him to step up and tell them what he thought. This speech became a staple of not only the heart of democracy, but also a lifestyle of serving as it was translated across Europe and made its way to the United States. So this speech has also lasted through time. It has become a staple of not only politics, but also sports and pop culture. The first example I'm going to give you is with Richard Nixon. And so although his image was tainted by his misdeeds regarding the Watergate scandal, what I can tell you is that at the bookends of his presidency, in both his victory and farewell addresses, he mentions Theodore Roosevelt and the Man in the Arena speech. Specifically, he says, I just want to get this right, sometimes I've succeeded and sometimes I've failed, but always I have taken from what Theodore Roosevelt once said about the man in the arena. As long as I have a breath in my life and I have a breath in my body, I shall continue in that spirit. This is really just a powerful statement for me. And this also bridges in to my next figure that I want to talk about, Nelson Mandela. He, in 1995, gave a copy of the speech, much like they did back in the day with the French production company and the 5,000 copies, but he gave a copy to the South African rugby captain and before the 1995 World Cup and told him the power of this speech. Just so the team went on and won the 1995 World Cup against New Zealand. And, you know, I guess the power of his words resonated with the team. And it was just an incredible experience. And other subtle references, I thought, I'm not funny, but kind of cool. LeBron James wrote hashtag Man in the Arena on his shoes a couple years ago. That's pretty cool. And, you know, more seriously, U.S. Naval Academy plebes actually have to memorize this speech before their orientation summer. So that's pretty cool. So when I look at it from my perspective and how it's impacted me, I ask myself these 3 questions. What gifts do I have that I can use to help others? What service opportunities can I put myself into that I don't have to do, but that I want to do? And what profound difference can I make in the world just as an individual? As National Honor Society president at my school, a student ambassador, golf team captain. Yeah, I love golf. Golf is my thing. It's awesome. And also as an Eagle Scout, I take pride in likening myself, as Roosevelt says, a person who spins myself in worthy causes and knows in the end the triumph of high achievement. I want to kind of touch on my Eagle Scout project because that really was a defining moment of my life. So don't laugh, but when I was brainstorming my Eagle project, I chose to repaint an ancient 4,000 square foot basement at my church. And let's just say it was daunting. It was a lot, but with a network of 25 scouts, family, friends, and leaders, I was able to get the project done in roughly a weekend, obviously with the pre-planning and the mentality. But what I learned from this was that I took something that Roosevelt said and made it impactful. Basically, what I can tell you is that with perseverance, I completed something that nobody wanted to do, but now everyone loves. So as I'm making my final statement today, I want to challenge myself and those present today to try to answer these following questions. Where do you draw the line of being a model citizen? What more can we do together to go above and beyond what is expected of us and make a lasting impact on those who we love and those who we may never know? And so Roosevelt actually answers this question for us as he concludes his 260-word Man in the Arena speech. Dare greatly, know victory, and every day commit to living the life that you want to live. Thank you.
Sam Davis, Davis, just in case. The last one's actually going to be tricky. Isaac Anger, without the danger. Got it. Isaac, if you come on up. Orange Park High School. Nope. Thank you for the clarification. Appreciate it.
Hello, everybody. Today, I'd like to introduce the person who came with me today, Mr. James Howell. He's over there in the back. He's an AP English teacher as well as regular English teacher at Orange Park High School. He is also the theater, not only teaches theater class, but also the theater director at our school. And he is a big reason why I'm here today. So, without further ado, I'd like to start my speech by asking you all a simple question. What is family? I mean, this should be an easy question, right? Everyone has one. I do, you do, everyone does in some fashion. So then why do I ask that question? What is family? Just think about it for a second. Well, according to the dictionary, a family is a group made up of one or two parents and one or more children. But we all know that's not really what family is about. Family is about a connection, a deep emotional connection that you feel with your parents and your siblings. And this connection can not only apply to the people that you're genetically similar to, but also applies to anyone that you put in the effort to get to know and to build a relationship with. That deep emotional connection can be felt with anyone. I mean, there are all different types of families. There are single parent families, there are extended families, and there are found families. But I think the most recognizable type of family is the nuclear family. The nuclear family is the American ideal of family. It contains one mother, one father, and two or maybe three kids. And it's this family dynamic that is the focus in the literary work that I've chosen to cover today. And that literary work is Death of a Salesman by Arthur Miller. This nuclear family, and this is a very important piece of literature, but just in case you guys haven't heard of it before, allow me to quickly summarize it. At the core of the story is about a man, Willie Loman, and his relationship with his family, as well as his pursuit for the American dream. And it is this pursuit that unfortunately leads to his destruction of his relationship with his family, and sadly leads to him taking his own life at the end of the play. So then why cover this document out of all the potential documents that I could have chosen? What makes this document so important? Well, this document is important not only for the discussions and movements that it has created, but also inspired. Arthur Miller caused a collective realization in our country that family is not what you make it. It's not what you're born into, but it's what you make it. Let me reiterate that. Family is not what you are born into, but is the people that you choose to spend your life with. And there are probably people in this room today that you would consider family in some fashion, maybe. And in the play, Willie's son, Biff, is the embodiment of a new American dream. The idea that your life is what you make it, that your happiness is what you make it, and that your family is what you make it. Biff is a great example of any young person today, because in the course of the play, he decides that he wants to follow his dreams, and he doesn't care how hard or how difficult it may be, he goes for it. Because when he was in the world of business like his father, he felt unhappy and unfulfilled. And it was only once he went out west and worked on a ranch that he found his true calling and happiness. And unlike Willie, who was a character who was stuck in an unhappy marriage with an unfulfilling job, who is chasing this old-fashioned idea of the American dream because that's what he thought he was supposed to do. Unfortunately, the world moves on and people have to change. Willie was left behind. And this caused him to not be able to support his family properly, which caused him to become deep in debt. And it's this debt from pursuing this dream that trapped him in not an American dream, but an American nightmare. When the play was released in 1949, it influenced Americans' perception of family, happiness, and success. In a time when the majority of Americans were trying to find their happiness, like Willie, in this middle-class suburban life. But Miller tapped into a deep discontent felt by many people. The idea that this materialism that the old American dream was built on is not their dream anymore. It does not make them happy. And Miller's essentially told his audience that it's not what the government or what your society tells you to do that makes you happy, but it's what you decide to do that makes you happy. And so now I know what you're probably saying. Well, what does this have to do with me? The guy standing up here right now talking to you. Well, when I was a freshman in high school, I didn't have any friends and I was alone. And so on a whim, I decided, why not try theater, try something to be involved. And lucky for me, when I joined, I found that I made friends fairly easily. And these are people that I still to this day consider friends, and not only friends, but family. Because no matter what it is if it's our projects in class, us going out to do district competitions, or even most importantly, our productions at Orange Park High School have allowed me to connect and become closer with my fellow cast members and my fellow tech people who have inspired me and uplifted me in ways that I've never been inspired or uplifted before. This past winter, we participated in a district competition in which my fellow thespians inspired me to write a screenplay for that won a Superior Award, which is the highest rank you can receive there at district competitions. And now, thanks to them, it is in a process of being looked at to be published. And none of this would have been possible if it wasn't for those fellow cast members, those fellow tech people, our volunteers that come and help us out on the shows, and most importantly, our sponsors, one of which is here taking time out of his busy schedule to be here today. And so, like Biff, I found my happiness in a non-traditional way with a non-traditional theater family. And so just in closing, I'd like to mention a quote from the play. Willie often told his brother that the jungle is full of darkness, but it's also sorry, let me rephrase that. The jungle is dark, but full of diamonds. And Willie thought this meant that he had to go out and work hard and struggle his entire life for material riches, when really all he needed was to sit down and spend time and build the relationships with the people in his life that he cared about. And unfortunately for him, he never made success. He never got that payoff he was looking for, because he never strayed away from his set path of following that strict moral and guide that the old American dream has set for him. And unfortunately for his sacrifice, but thanks to it, and also to Biff's own missteps, Biff and people like Biff have the opportunity to learn that you have to do what you love in order to be happy. And so when I first entered high school 4 years ago, the jungle was dark, but it was also full of diamonds. The first of which I found while working on the play that I was a part of in a significant way, doing tech, Death of a Salesman by Arthur Miller. Thank you.
Appreciate it. And I did not bring the spelling. A-U-N-G-I-E-R. A-U-N-G-I-E-R. Isaac. Thank you. Can we give another round of applause? I know you're doing your score sheets, but for all of the contestants. We'll give everyone a moment, and then Dinkins and Lester, you guys collecting the sheets is folks wonderful. I would like to give special recognition. I know Isaac mentioned it, but to our family, to our school administrators, and to our amazing school teachers. Without their support of our young people, I just don't know that it works. So thank you all for being here, and a round of applause for all of you. I feel like I should have the Jeopardy song playing right now. No? So President Sherlock and I are going to ask all three contestants to come back on up while we're tallying and collecting for the winners. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Stay where you are. Let me turn the mic back over to President Sherlock to run his meeting.
Thank you, Sophia, Grace, Samuel, and Isaac. Once again, fantastic job, everybody. Pop-ups. We have a board meeting immediately following lunch. All members are invited to attend. Be sure and check the calendar for upcoming events. We are right here at Timuquana for lunch and virtual next week. We have a great presentation. We also have an upcoming social event the week of February 16th. So that'll be a Valentine's Day themed event. William and Lee have some good stuff planned for us. Family of Rotary, Dr. Randy Thornton.
Thanks. Thank you, President Ike. I'm up here virtually. Family Rotary today. Birthdays. Alberta Hips is today. Jim Overton tomorrow on the 20th. Dane Jensen, a little bit later on the 21st, and then Mike O'Brien on January 24th. A couple of updates. Bill Howie is continuing to recover, and unless anything's changed, he's been up and about walking around the neighborhood, which is great. John Barley is also continuing to recover. And the good news, he's been transferred back to St. Vincent's, which is actually an improvement. So all good news on the medical front. And just to close out a little bit of medical humor, this is some pediatric humor from my standpoint. Real quickly, a concerned parent called their child's pediatrician and said, recently my child has started eating power cords. What should I do? Without missing a beat, the pediatrician responds, well, depending on the current situation at home, you need to ground him until he can conduct himself appropriately. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Thornton. Rahul Sharma, Sergeant of Arms report. Do you have a special announcement, Rahul?
I do, President Ike, and Dr. Thornton, thank you for providing the Family of Rotary report. We actually have Bill Howie in-house today, in person. Bill, you want to say a couple of nice words to your fellow brothers and sisters at Rotary?
Oh yeah, always. Good to see everybody, and hopefully I'll continue to keep coming and get perfect attendance.
Welcome back, Bill. It's great to have you here, and that was a perfect setup. I'll have to say, President Ike, there's two things more difficult than having to give a speech. As the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Winston Churchill, once said, trying to climb a wall that's leaning towards you and trying to kiss a girl that's leaning away from you. So I think that, we have to really, say that these kids are talented, and certainly best wishes to them in their future. Each week I'm privileged to be able to welcome our visiting Rotarians. And, I'll tell you what a special group of leaders that we have here today. You heard from Lisa Marie Winslow. How about a big round of applause for her from Southjax? Lisa Marie, what a star.
Okay.
Dinkins Grange, also representing Rotary South Jacksonville. Dinkins, welcome. And Les Loggins, certainly here as well, providing support from Rotary South Jax. Les, welcome. Will Croft, it is my understanding that you have a guest that you would like to introduce to the club here today. Will, here's the mic.
Yeah, it's about my co-worker from WWK, Wesley Lopez.
Wesley, welcome. Great show. President Ike, I'd like to send it back over to you.
Thank you, sir. We're still waiting on results. Counting. Once again, next week, our speaker is going to be Kevin Snyder. He's going to talk, he's from Duval County Ford, and he's going to talk about the chip shortage in auto manufacturing. So a lot of supply chain issues, and it's a very, very timely presentation. I already mentioned the board meeting is directly following this meeting. Great to have Bill Howie back in house. And we will eat some cookies and pause for dessert while we total scores. Once again, fantastic presentations all. And the tension will remain on the three of you until these guys finish adding the scores up. So we'll be right back.
It's interesting. The suspense is like, waiting for the top pick of the draft. And it's like, the contestants are waiting in the green room. And so I figured I'll share some words of wisdom about speeches that are happening as the scores are being tallied. But Joe Springer, my broadcasting engineer, is telling me to switch mics because if they both interfere with one each other, we may have some feedback here. So let's have some words for wisdom today. Let's go. Here we go. Public speaking is the art of diluting a 2-minute idea with a 2-hour vocabulary. President John F. Kennedy said those words once. How about comedian Jerry Seinfeld? I had to borrow a quote from him for today. I really needed the help. Quote, according to most studies, people's number one fear is public speaking. I know it's mine. Number 2 is death. Does that even sound right? I mean, think about this. This means to the average person, if you go to a funeral, you're better off in the casket than you are doing a eulogy. Jerry Seinfeld. There are always 3 speeches for every one you actually give, according to Dale Carnegie: the one that you practiced, the one that you gave, and the one you wish you gave. Dale Carnegie. And I think the best advice for me to apply at this club comes from our 32nd president of the United States, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR. Quote, be sincere, be brief, and be seated. I think it's time for me to get off the stage. President Ike, I tried my best. As our scores are being tallied now, I'd like to bring you back up to the podium and see where we are right now. President Ike, back to you.
Thank you, Rahul. And Lisa Marie.
Ernst and Young had a little difficulty out there, but they're good. They're good. It is just an honor again and a pleasure. Thank you, West Jacksonville, for hosting the meeting today for regional competitions. Thank you to all the participants for the effort that you put into your presentations. It was amazing to hear each and every one of you, your perspective, your point of view. It always opens my eyes to different things, and being in education, that's what it's all about, to continue learning. So thank you very much for those presentations. The club, the West Jacksonville Club, has presented with all of you a gift. So if you wouldn't mind coming all up here, and we'll get a photo, but less if you wouldn't mind taking a photo of all three of the contestants, as well as President Sherlock, and also present to you this very nice gift from the club. So one more round of applause for all of the contestants. Our winner of the West Jacksonville Regional Oratory Competition is Miss Sophia Grace Posick.
I want to thank all of you once again for this amazing opportunity. Being able to speak in front of a group of such distinguished people is a fantastic opportunity, and I hope that I get to do it. And I'm looking forward to the competition, and I hope that I can see you all there. Thank you all for your time.
One more reminder and shameless plug, February 17th at WJCT Studios. We would love to have all of you in attendance. Please just reach out. Just reach out and we'll make sure that we get a table set up for you. Thank you again. President Sherlock.
You didn't say the time.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were telling me your time's up. 6 p.m. Thank you. We start at 6 p.m.
Thank you again, Southjax-Rotary, for hosting this event. Thank you for the contestants. To close the meeting out, a quote: "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." Dr. Martin Luther King.